I think of it as about ensuring that we are aware of difference and commonality, principally, in our communities, and that we're responsive and sensitive to all kinds of difference. And I suppose in terms of learning and teaching, that means recognising what people bring, whether they're students or staff, what they bring that is particular to their background, their cultural history, their identity, their multiple identities, and likewise in the provision of academic support. In my university role, more specifically, I'm actually interested in enabling all students, regardless of what kind of category we might put people into for our feedback purposes or our quality assurance purposes or our data management purposes, whatever those categories are that we talk about. I'm interested in enabling all students to work to the top of their potential, to achieve to the top of their potential. I think that the key to improving the student retention and attainment, particularly around Black and Asian minority ethnic students, digging into that sort of very complex and very distressing set of issues. One of the actions I've taken is trying to really foreground what lies behind those findings and encourage debate, set up an event such as the Inclusivity Day that we did here at CSM recently. We did one a while back as well, where we got people going through the initial Shades of Noir big debate kind of initiative, and then we sort of lost a bit of momentum, and I think that this year we've tried to kind of pick that up again, because our understanding of the differential in attainment, particularly between our BAME students and our white students here at CSM, has really widened, and that's been such a shocking and upsetting discovery for colleagues here that we've started anew. We've really done a kind of fresh take on that and looked at the research. We've brought people in. I've sort of spearheaded really trying to get that debate to continue here at CSM. Shades of Noir brought into the foreground, it really brought attention, it raised my awareness and brought attention, I think, to, especially through the debates that we had. It was good to be in a structure, I think, for the college and also for people individually. It was good that we had that sense of a structured approach. The exhibition that was held here at CSM was very successful, I think, in terms of celebratory, positive, bringing visual, material evidence, to bear on the talk that goes on all the time, or the hard reading that people feel they have to do and might shy away from, So having the exhibition was fantastically successful. And Kimathi Donkor, who curated that, was then really instrumental in our first inclusivity event here. And talked in a very vivid way about representation, really, within art history, and he somehow, in the way that he helped facilitate our discussion here, made things kind of relevant and come home to people. And so I was very encouraged by that, and I found myself finding a way in to some very difficult topics, and people didn't have the vocabulary. People were frightened to speak about these things, and I think that, funnily enough, although the exhibition is a university-wide project, the fact that it was here at CSM was very helpful for us locally, and we had that relationship between the exhibition and the debate. Certainly this year and very recently, because of the attainment gaps widening and so on, because of what the data has told us about our effectiveness in terms of learning and teaching, we're back on the agenda again really big time. And Shades of Noir, in terms of the resources that it provides, I think, and the kind of backdrop of materials where you could go to. I mean, there's been a number of sources that have helped, but I think Shades of Noir, just knowing it's there, and that there's a kind of, just places to get information. We have 2 workshops that we're emphasising, again, which are about cultural awareness in relation to orientation. So for students who are kind of coming from any particular culture, which we all are, but we're trying and make a much more explicit introduction to what's going on here in terms of HE, experiences of HE that are very diverse, that are coming from everywhere, or pre-HE experiences, and how we can actually enable students to become aware of the learning expectations here. So I suppose more emphasis on orientation. We're also exploring the new approach to induction, which is a student-generated approach promoted by a guy called Nicholas Braskill, which is based on social identity theory. So it actually enables individual students of all identities to recognise their commonality rather than feel isolated by their particular way in. And this will be experimented with. We're promoting, I am working with graphics here at CSM to bring this in as part of a number of ways in which they offer induction experiences, both in the foundation level curriculum area, graphics area hopefully, certainly in the BA, the beginning of the BA, in the Introduction to Study and Higher Education unit, which all students do, and in the MA Communication Design course as well. I'm also looking at next year here at CSM, doing a very close look at unit briefings, project briefs and guidance materials that students are given. There is actually an issue around inclusivity, I think, in the project content, possibly in unit content, not just in the way things are expressed. It's not just about accessible materials, although that's obviously important for everybody, but the kind of range of reference, if you like, in terms of the content of our curriculum. And I'm going to prioritise according to an analysis of the Black and Asian minority ethnic student attainment and retention data. We're going to analyse that in terms of course level and unit level. And once we've got that sense of where the real issues are, below college level, in other words, down into the courses, that will then enable us to prioritise this looking at the curriculum content. One of the things that we could use more, which would be people to come in and actually help us in the delivery of staff development, especially around the recruitment of staff. I mean, we do have a shamefully low level of black academic staffing, I think across the university, but actually it is very noticeable at CSM. We've got a real issue there, and it's a matter of I think some staff not understanding, and this includes HR, this includes our staffing advisors, the people who advise us and who actually handle the processes of recruitment for us, not knowing what the policy is, what is the positive action that we've agreed we are taking. Now, deans have agreed it to be, champions. We've signed up, in various events, associate deans as well, some of us, for the support of positive actions, particularly around representation on interview panels, and thinking about where we actually advertise and so on, in order to target what the kind of positive use of things like en route could be when we put our jobs, opportunities, etc. out there. And some people may have put themselves forward as coaches or mentors in that en route programme as well from CSM, we're not sure. But basically, we need to use Shades of more as a sort of practical, training and development resource, I think, for staffing. And in terms of awareness raising, yes, but also in relation to what positive action means and what we could be, all of us, including programme directors, as I say, staffing administrators, HR business consultants, and senior managers, what we could be doing collectively to make sure that we really do make some progress with this business of the diversity of the staff profile.